While you might not know the full story or title, The Spider's Thread is a tale most anime watchers have heard before. Of all the over 150 short stories Akutagawa Ryunosuke wrote in his lifetime, it's The Spider's Thread that has been referenced many times in anime and manga, which is extra interesting when you realize The Spider's Thread is itself a reference to another story by another very familiar author. Written by Akutagawa, The Spider's Thread is a short story released in 1918. One day while Buddha is walking in paradise, he looks down into a pond and sees the lowest level of hell, a lake of blood, where sinners drown for eternity. One such sinner is a man named Kandata. While he was alive, he committed many crimes, from theft to arson to murder, and yet one day he decided to spare the life of a spider instead of stepping on it and crushing it. Because of this good deed, Buddha takes pity on Kandata and wants to free him from hell. He lets a single thread from the web of a spider down into the lake. Kandata looks up, sees it as a way to escape an eternity of drowning, and begins to climb. It's a long climb, and as the lake of blood disappears out of view, he stops to take a break. As he looks down, he sees many other sinners have also climbed the thread after him. Fearing the thread will snap, he calls down that the thread is his and they must get off. In that same moment, the thread snapped and everyone on it, Kandata included, fell back into the depths of hell. Buddha, who watched the whole scene unfold, continues on with his walk, doing nothing more to help. The Spider's Thread is a tale about redemption and the fragility of what it means to be good. Despite all the wrong he did in his life, Kandata was still given a chance to redeem himself for the small act of choosing not to step on a spider. Up until the moment he calls down to the other sinners, the thread was holding the weight of everyone perfectly fine. So in that very second, did one too many people climb on it as Kandata feared? Or did the thread snap because he told people to get off? Did his chance at redemption fail because in that moment he tainted his one and only good deed by being selfish? If he continued to climb, he could very well have made it to the top, being allowed to live in paradise. Buddha could have cut the rope after Kandata made it, preventing all the other sinners from following. Or maybe each of those sinners were just as deserving of a second chance as Kandata. We'll never know the truth, which is exactly the point. Considering the story's wide cultural footprint, you'd probably be shocked to find out it's actually a beat-for-beat retelling of another story. Akutagawa was inspired by a range of authors, including the Russian writer Fyodor Dostoevsky. In one of his most famous novels, The Brothers Karamazov, one character tells a story called The Onion. Upon her death, a woman was sent to hell to forever burn in a lake of flames. Throughout her life, she was nothing short of wicked, except for one single good deed she did, giving an onion to a beggar. Her guardian angel wanted to save her, so he pleaded with God and was given an onion to use to pull her out of hell. The angel went to hell, had the woman grab onto the onion, and began pulling her out of the lake. As she was nearly out, other sinners began clinging to her legs in hopes of being pulled out too. So she called out the onion was hers, and she alone would be saved. In that moment, the onion broke, and the woman plunged back into hell. The angel cried and left. So Akutagawa read Dostoevsky's novel, decided the story sounded good, reimagined it in a Japanese setting, and created probably his most well-known work. In conclusion, plagiarism is okay as long as you're creative about it. Background information out of the way, here's some of the times the story was used in anime. Erase is the best instance of this, as the Spider's Thread is relevant to the entire plot. The anime kind of messed up the story a bit, so speaking from the manga, Yashiro, the teacher who was the one killing the kids, is himself a parallel of Kandata. His one good deed is that back when he was a kid, he gave his shoes to Yuki. After Yashiro read The Spider's Thread, he questioned if what Kandata did was truly wrong. One day, when Yashiro was a child, his brother killed a girl and together they hid her body. After this, Yashiro was able to see a spider's thread attached to his brother, which he wanted to cut, so he got his mother to find the girl's body and his brother then took his own life. Many years later, as an adult, Yashiro had been going around murdering more young girls. His fiancée manages to uncover what he was doing and confronts him. It is then that a spider's thread appears above her. Once again, he cuts her thread, this time by killing her and making it seem like it was her own doing. After this, Yashiro looks in the mirror and sees a thread attached to himself. In Yashiro's case, I believe the thread attaches to people who threaten his own continued survival. In other words, the people who are climbing the thread after him. If his mother never found the girl's body and instead they followed his brother's plan to cover it up, it's likely Yashiro would have been convicted of the crime. The same for if his fiancée had survived. Yashiro feels the need to cut their thread to prevent prevent them from catching up to him. The thread appearing on his own head is symbolic of him going on to cause his own downfall, just like Kandata did. Yashiro was only revealed as the killer because he confessed everything to, and then attempted to kill Satoru. Satoru had no idea it was him, and if Yashiro never tried to kill him that day, Satoru may well have never found out, just like how Kandata could have kept climbing. Death Parade seems to be the next most well-known example. The series follows an otherworldly bar run by Decim and his assistant. Their job is to judge the souls of dead people and decide which of them should be reincarnated and which should be destroyed. From the first episode, we see Decim use thin, shiny strings to keep order in the bar. Dare I say, a spider's thread. In episode 5, to distract a guest that has taken someone hostage, he tells the story of the spider's thread. Aside from that moment, the story doesn't have any greater implications throughout the series. Just the obvious metaphor of Decim being like Buddha, giving chances at redemption and ultimately passing judgment on a person. For another series where the story is more involved in its lore, there's the Monogatari series. Specifically, Owari Monogatari's second season. There's no way I can explain all the context behind this without having this video be an hour long, so to massively oversimplify, our main character, Araragi, has been killed and ended up in hell. The lowest level at that, as he saved the life of a demon. As he awakes, he's met with a friend of his who passed away some time ago, Hachikuji. She tells him he was only meant to die for a little bit and it's her job to help him get resurrected. So they walk together through hell until they reach a shrine. From the sky descends a long white thread. Hachikuji comments that if he misses this thread, he'll have to burn in hell forever. While he's holding onto the thread, he asks if it's really okay for someone like him to be resurrected. Hachikuji gives him a speech about how he's the first in line of deserving people to be resurrected. Just as he's about to climb out of hell with the thread, he realizes he's only first in line because he took Hachikuji's chance. So he quickly grabs her and they both get pulled back up to the mortal world. While the story of the spider's thread isn't explicitly told in this case, the reference is clearly there. Obviously there's the thread itself, but this whole scene plays out the exact opposite of the way it does in Akutagawa's story. If anything, Araragi is the antithesis of Kandata. He questions if the thread should really be used for him instead of immediately jumping on it, and deliberately takes another person with him instead of pushing others down. It's because he listened to the warning in Akutagawa's story, did the opposite of Kandata, that Araragi was able to successfully leave hell. And for my final example, we have Black Butler episode 14. Ciel is telling the story of his parents' murder, his own torture, and his desire for revenge. The spider's thread is only mentioned in one single line at the end of his speech. Even if I'm plunged into the depths of despair, if there's a spider's thread there that I can crawl up, I'll take hold of it without giving up. In this case, Ciel has put himself in the position of the other sinners who climbed the thread after Kandata. He's willing to take any chance he can get to help him escape his metaphorical hell. That might be the end of the reference in that scene, but it actually makes sense in the context of Black Butler as a whole. We know that what allowed Ciel to escape, the thread that was let down into hell, was the demon Sebastian and the deal they made. The deal that ensures once Ciel has completed his revenge, he will die and Sebastian will take his soul. Just like the other sinners from the story, no matter how far out of hell he climbs on that spider's thread, it is guaranteed to snap by a force that's entirely out of his control. And once it snaps, he will plummet back down into hell. The entire deal is a false hope, just like how the other sinners must have seen the thread in the story. That's my collection of times the spider's thread was mentioned in anime, but there may be many more out there. Actually, I know for a fact there's at least 3 more. A weird adaptation of the story, an anime I've covered before, and one that I think is a bit too niche for this video. If you guys think of any more times, I'd love to hear them. Thank you for your time.